my name is Diditi Kadel, and in today's episode, I'll be having a conversation with the amazingly talented actress Natasha Calis. You might have seen Natasha on Supernatural, The Good Doctor, The Firm, and many more. She has recently been part of NBC medical drama series Nurses, where she played the lead Ashley Collins, and now she's back with the new Paramount medical drama series SkyMed, which premiered on July 10th. Such a pleasure to have you on the show, Natasha. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so Natasha, being the star on the rise, tell us a little bit more about your journey.
Yeah, so my name is Natasha. I'm from Vancouver, Canada. I started acting professionally when I was 7 years old. It's interesting, though, because it's something that's just kind of always been a part of me. Before I knew what acting was, I was acting ever since a really young age, probably about 4 or 5. I just started really finding fascination in acting and in movies, and I would watch movies over and over again and study them and then interpret the character in my own way and like put on a show for my parents or my friends. And so it was something that just came super naturally to me. And my parents saw this and they wanted to encourage it and support it but they didn't want to put me into acting because they didn't want to ruin something that was just kind of naturally happening. So when I was 7, I kind of discovered what I was doing and that I could be doing it on TV, and what these people that I was watching and dreaming of doing, it could happen. And so I asked my parents, to get me an agent and to help me do this thing. Mm-hmm. And neither of them knew what they were doing, but they found me an agent, and from then on, it just kind of, I guess the rest is history. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Like you said, you've started your career at a young age. What was your calling like? Like, when did you realize that this was not just a hobby and this passion that you had for acting you wanted to turn into a career?
Yeah, I think it might have been, it was, like I say, it was when I was really young. I was always a tomboy, and then I would watch a movie where maybe the main character, who was a little bit older than I was a super girly girl and wore dresses and was a big bookworm. And, I don't know how old I would have been, maybe like 6. I couldn't read at that point, or 5, couldn't read. But I would go to school with like a big novel that like I borrowed from my dad, and I would put on a dress and I'd, tell everybody to call me. It was Matilda. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but that was one of the movies that I was like, wow, I want to do this. I want to be Matilda. And my parents were really cute, and like I would pretend to move stuff with my hands, and my dad would be like, wow. Like, so it was really fun, and it was a really fun experience just having parents that were so supportive and encouraging. And then I want to say my first movie ever was called Christmas Caper. And it was made for TV movie, Christmas movie on ABC Family. And I had the privilege of working with Shannon Doherty, who played my aunt. And it was just such a phenomenal on-set experience that I loved so much. And I just immediately felt at home, and I knew this is what I wanted to do forever. And so I would say after Christmas Caper, I was like, okay, I would be so honored to do this for the rest of my life.
All right, amazing. Yeah. And you basically grew up in this industry from a young girl into now a woman. Were there any struggles, and how did you overcome those?
Yeah, I think it was, I was always in normal school, public school. My parents kept me public school. I never did online schooling or homeschooling or anything like that. I was also very much involved in soccer. That was another big passion of mine, and I played competitive soccer ever since I was really young. And so then it got to a point where I was really good at soccer. I was doing well in acting, and I had to make these choices. Like, did I want to, be a soccer player and pursue, maybe getting a scholarship and going that route, or did I want to be an actor? And so some of these decisions I had to make at a very young age. I was also a dancer, and so it was just I was very busy in juggling all of these things, which I was really grateful for, because I think it was really important at such a young age to make sure that acting wasn't my life and that wasn't my world. My whole world wasn't consumed in, my appearance and my career and making money. That wasn't the main focus. It was like just another one of my hobbies that I love to do. It was like soccer, and it was like dance, and it was like acting. They were all the same. But what did happen was that I had to make a choice. Did I want to be, an actor, or did I? And so at a young age, it wasn't a hard decision because I knew I wanted to be an actor, but it was hard, you know, having to give up competitive dance, because I couldn't commit to, you know, being on a competitive team, and it was hard giving up soccer. I still play, actually. I just couldn't play at the level that I wanted to. But best decision I ever made, and I'm very grateful for it. But then another thing that comes to mind is transitioning from being a child actor to being a teenager actor to being an adult actor. Those were all difficult transitions. You know, it's hard being a successful child actor and then, you know, transitioning through prepubescent times on camera and trying to figure out, you know, what's happening. And then, but also like having to show up and play a character and being on screen and in front of, you know, all these people, and then transitioning into adult roles. That was also challenging, but, I'm really grateful that, you know, it all worked out and that I went through those experiences, because I think they made me who I am today.
Amazing. If it wasn't acting, what else would you be doing right now?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I would like to say I love the industry. I love being, I would love to be behind the camera one day. And so I think if I wasn't actually acting, I would probably be in film school, and I would probably be studying to be a director, or even like a camera operator, like anything to do with the world and with making movies and making TV. I think I would love to do, even writing. Yeah, but then on like the furthest other spectrum, I always really enjoyed law and studying law in school, and so I think another part of me would maybe be in law school. I don't know. Yeah. Would
you take on the opportunity to play a lawyer in some of the TV show in the future projects that you might have?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that would be super cool and kind of fulfilling a small part of my childhood dream, a small part of it. Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. It'd be very cool.
All right. You've had an impressive career so far, and you've accomplished so much already from such a young age. How has that impacted you and the work that you produce, or the projects that you work on moving on?
Yeah, I think I've been so lucky and fortunate to be able to work with some of the incredible people that I've got to work with in this industry. And so I think working with those names at such a young age and them really showing me how to show up with a good attitude and how to lead a film set and how to be professional, and also just how to hone your craft was really inspirational, and I think really paved the way for my career, getting to work with those people so early on. So I'm very grateful for that. And I was also just one of those kids who was just such a sponge. I would go on set and it would just be this like amazing, magical, incredible workplace and world and space, and I would just sort of absorb everything and learn from the people that I looked up to. So I was really grateful to, you know, be able to work with people who were so professional and just always showed up with a good attitude and got the work done. But then on the other side of things, I got to work with some actresses and actors that, you know, maybe weren't as professional and didn't have as good of an attitude. But I also learned from them, because I don't want to, you know, have that type of presence on set when I grow up to be their age. So I think I was really lucky with the experiences that I had in the film sets that I was on.
So mixture of good and bad experiences.
Exactly. Yeah. And like appreciative and grateful for both of them, because they made me the person I am today.
You've worked alongside with renowned actors and actresses like Samantha Morton and Michael Shannon, Danny Glover, and now you're playing your lead roles on your own TV series. Tell me how that journey has been like for you, and how that transition has been like for you.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I'm so honored. It's pretty special, but I think, like I was touching on before, I'm really grateful that I got to work with such incredible people who I look up to, and I got to, you know, see how to properly lead a film set and show up with the right attitude and you know, make sure that everybody gets along, and that you're supporting and uplifting your fellow castmates, because at the end of the day, it's really important that you know, personally you have really good connections with your fellow actors and your castmates, because when on-screen chemistry is there, it's there, and when it's not, it's not. And so at the end of the day, putting the job first, it's always going to work out better if everybody gets along and everybody is respectful and professional and polite and whatnot. So that was really important for me, especially working on an ensemble cast. It's really important that, everybody gets along. And I mean, thankfully, and everybody on this set on SkyMed is so incredible, and we all got along so well, and they're just wonderful talents. So it wasn't hard, but I think that's definitely a part of it. Working with those people from such a young age, it definitely shed light on how I wanted to show up as a lead.
Hey, amazing. Both of these series focuses on medical aspect of things, and working in a medical field is a very tough job, both mentally and physically. It's very demanding. And having played as a nurse for both of these roles, what would you say was the most challenging part of playing these characters and bringing the script to life?
Yeah, I think especially with SkyMed, it's interesting because my character Hailey is battling her own demons. She's battling her own personal, demons in her life, and so it's kind of interesting when that happens, because you're almost playing two different characters. You're playing, on the personal side of things, you're showing emotions, and you're allowed to break down, and everybody's different. So showing that side of things was interesting. But then as soon as she did up her flight suit and was on the job, there's a different side of you, or a different side of her that shows through and shines through. And so it was very fun, kind of having to put on a brave face, but having all of these emotions underneath, and having everything going on in her life underneath all of that, and then kind of taking off the flight suit and debriefing at home, and relying on her fellow co-workers to kind of help her through these times. So it was fun, and it was challenging playing those two sides of things.
How was the filming like for you? I'm assuming you had to go through a lot of training, and there's also action in this movie. So how was that like for you?
It was so fun. It was amazing. It was awesome. Our first day of filming, or sorry, not even our first day of filming, but our first day all meeting, we were sort of broken up into two groups, and the pilots had pilot training, and then the nurses had paramedic training. And so we sort of went off into our two classrooms, if you will, and we had very hands-on, very fun training. We learned so much. We studied. It felt like we were in school, but it was also really interesting because it's sort of like years and years and years and years of knowledge having to be impacted into this 7-hour sort of crash course. So it was overwhelming, but it was also just so fun and exciting because we were all so keen and excited to have this opportunity. And then we got to go up flying in a real plane, a real plane. So that was really fun. Yeah, it was just such a great support system that we had of people always there on set with us, making sure we were doing the right things. And one moment that stands out to me was walking into the green room one day, which is where all of us cast hang out between scenes. And on the whiteboard, Jamie, who was the pilot consultant and taught everybody to, look like they knew what they were doing. He drew out the interior of the plane and the panel board. He literally drew it out, and he was showing, he's like, okay, so on takeoff, you're going to flick this switch, and this is what this does. And so they were mapping it out on a piece of paper. And I was just like, oh, that's so, at first I didn't know what it was. I was like, what are they doing? Kind of looked like a weird sort of abstract piece of art. And then I was like, oh, that's the interior of the cockpit. That's so cool. So, and then, also on the other side of things, the medical stuff, we would always get consulted before and, show how to do things and get to practice things. And so we made sure that we knew all of the actions beforehand. And then when we went into the scene, it just second nature. So yeah, it was very fun.
All right, amazing. I'm glad to hear that. That must have been tough to learn these in such a small amount of time and perform it afterwards and make it seem very real, what you're talking about. So That sounds amazing and very fun. SkyMed has actually a very, very diverse cast, and in the trailer, I was pleased to see a glimpse of LGBTQ representation. So my next question too is, do you think there is some sort of responsibility of filmmaker to give equal representation to minority groups, or even to you as an actor? How important is it that you take up on projects that has diverse ensemble, whether that be actors on screen or people behind the camera?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important, and I'm so honored to be a part of this show that does that so well. We have an incredibly diverse cast, as well as lots of representation in the writer's room, so behind the camera as well. And I think that's so important, you know, walking onto a film set and seeing the world that we live in, you know, seeing people on the job like the world that we live in. So I think it's really important, and I'm really honored that I'm part of a project that's showing that as a, you know, top priority, and the importance of you know, telling all different kinds of stories and making sure that everybody feels like they have a character on the TV show that they're watching that they can relate to and tell their story. And I'm very happy, and I'm very honored, and I think it's just extremely important.
Amazing. SkyMed is actually loosely based on the producer's sister, Julie Perkins' sisters. Did you feel any pressure to portray this role because of that?
Yeah, good question. I actually didn't know that that Hailey was based off of her sister until just before filming. And so when I first auditioned for this show, and when I was reading the character and sort of developing her, I immediately felt like I understood her pretty well. I mean, I think we're very similar. And so the character that I brought actually ended up lining up perfectly to Sarah when I did eventually meet her and find out that it was based off of her. It was kind of perfect because, yeah, I just feel like I understood her really well. And it was just such an honor to get cast as you know, the showrunner and the creator and the whole person behind this show, Julie Puckrin. It was just really honored to you know, have her hand that position and that important role close to her heart off to me. So yeah, I mean, I guess there was a little bit of pressure, but I don't want to say there was too much pressure just because it was such a loosely based off of character. And I was really, you know, shining light on her experiences as a flight nurse.
Okay, amazing. What has been your favorite character of all time out of all the roles that you have played, and what lessons have you learned from the characters?
Well, yeah, good question. I have a hard time. I always say my favorite role was a movie I did called The Possession, just because I was so young, and it was just such an intense role and movie that I just kind of took on. And I was so lucky for that, and grateful for that opportunity, because I learned so much as an actor. I was playing I was playing a possessed little girl, and so like I got to sink my teeth into this role like you wouldn't believe, and it was my first time really showcasing my, I think, range as an actor, and I doing that at such a young age. I was 11 at the time. I think that really paved the way of, you know, I think I proved to myself. Just kind of like the depths I could go to and the places I could go to and showcase that. And so playing a character like that at such a young age, I'm so grateful for. I learned so much from that experience. And I think that will forever be just kind of the pivotal moment in my career that I will look back at and be like, wow, I'm so grateful for that role and the opportunities that came my way after it, and everything that I took away from doing that.
What do you see yourself doing? Like, what genre of movie do you see yourself, like, go for?
I mean, I want to do every single kind of genre. I really, my main goal in my career is to be a versatile actor and play, you know, all different kinds of roles in all different kinds of movies. So I'm hoping, you know, I can look back on my career when I'm older and be like, wow, I did this whole plethora of genres and characters. But a dream since I've been a little girl, little kid, was playing Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, in a movie like that. So super action, super hands-on. That would be a dream role of mine. So.
All right. You basically answered my next question, but I was about to ask you say you're a wizard and you had a magic wand, what show would you like to produce next? Whether that be like through acting or being someone behind the camera?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a really good question. God, so many come to mind. Like, part of me wants to say Marvel movie, like the Avengers, and playing a superhero. That would be amazing. Also, just being a part of a production that huge would just, I think, be so cool. Like I say, also like Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. Then another part of me, like my crazy actor who wants to just like dive so far deep into a role, would want to play like the female version of Joaquin Phoenix in The Joker.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah, I think that would just be, I mean, that would be just like the role of a lifetime, and so challenging and so deep and dark, and I could just go to so many places. And so that's another part of me that, you know, would want to experiment with that. There's so many.
No,
Yeah.
I would love to see you play the female Joker. That's an interesting take. Love that.
Yeah.
And final question to you, Natasha, to the young girls who want to pursue acting as a career, what advice and wisdom would you like to share with them?
I would say never give up. I know that's so cheesy, but it's so true. It's such a cutthroat business, unfortunately, and you just have to put on your tough face and pursue what you love doing, and you don't let anybody stop you or tell you you're not capable of anything, because we are capable of whatever we set our minds to. And so I want to make sure that, you know, all of these young girls and people who want to, you know, be in this industry believes that they can, and that they will bring a presence that nobody else will be able to bring, and which is really special. So yeah, don't let anybody tell you can't do something.
All right, amazing. With that, we've come to the very end of our conversation. Natasha, I wish you the very best on your upcoming projects, and I can't wait to see you achieve more, maybe as a female Joker or someone in Marvel movies. It has been an absolute honor to speak with you. Thank you for listening to our conversation. Today, I've been speaking with Natasha Calis, and this is Didi Digadil for Next Big Thing.